Nothing is impossible, but certain things are highly improbable. Don't think I'll meet your kind again, not in this lifetime.
Hello guys, Happy New Year, Happy 2021, and welcome to a new edition of Bradley's House. I'm your co-host, Jarett Orr. She is probably the hardest working woman I know, works about 6 full-time jobs, the executive director of the Nowell Family Foundation, a mother of 2. Kelly, it really kind of makes you the beauty and the beast on this podcast. Kelly Nowell.
You are too kind. He knew I was having a hard day and he's trying to butter me up, I can tell. Thank you, Jarett. I really appreciate that.
It's not a butter up at all, but it's true. You certainly are. So Happy New Year. 2021 is here. We've got 2020 behind us. Kelly, one of the things that I love about this podcast is even with everything that's going on in the world, social distancing and not being able to see our friends and loved ones, we can still have guests in Bradley's house. And you've once again lined up a amazing cast for us. Who's joining us in Bradley's house today?
I am so excited for our guest tonight. We have some incredible women on the show, and I'm just going to apologize in advance for all the estrogen that you're going to have to deal with on this, Jarett. But these are incredible women that I have so much respect for. We have Stacey Dee and Soma SnakeOil, who are co-founders of the Sidewalk Project, and we'll get into exactly what that is. It's a phenomenal nonprofit that they're running, and they're doing some incredible work. And we also have one of our board members on the Nowell Family Foundation, Bryndee Pepper. So I'm so excited to have you guys all here. Thank you so much for being here.
Welcome, ladies.
Thanks for having us.
Bring on the estrogen. Yeah.
Bring it on.
Thank you for having us. We appreciate you.
We are really stoked to have you guys, and we'll get into more about why here. I really didn't want to get too much into it in the intro because there's so many different reasons why I'm having you guys on tonight on this episode, and I love what you are doing with the Sidewalk Project. I'm super grateful for you, Stacey, for being a part of the Bradley's House the House That Bradley Built compilation. And Bryndee has absolutely been my right hand with running the foundation. So having you all on tonight, I think is just really a special treat for me. And I'm excited for everybody to hear about what you guys are doing.
Kelly, you're so cool. Thank you so much for having us.
Thank you. So first of all, let's jump into the Sidewalk Project. Can you guys tell us a little bit about what it is and why you started it?
For sure.
Yeah. You want to go?
I mean, we'll do it a little bit together, right?
Tandem, yeah.
As we do. As we do. Yeah. Let's do it together.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, we founded it 3 years ago, and we're a lived experience organization, and I mean, it really comes from, Stacey and I like to talk about how it comes from us getting well. And, we are first and foremost a community building organization. And, we like to say that our big goal is to empower marginalized people individually and as a community while creating a sense of well-being. And, we're an arts and music organization, but we also sit at the intersection of public health. We're a harm reduction community. And one of the big things that we say is, really based on research around community health, and that's that happiness grows as it's shared. And that's something that we've really found in our own lives. Do you want to jump in on that, Stacey?
Yes, it's so true. Yeah. Soma and I used to party hard together. We're the same age. We were in between San Francisco and Los Angeles, involved in the punk rock music scene. And we used to party together, and right before we turned 40, we were doing blow and drinking, and it had been days of that. But we were like, when we're 40, we're gonna get better, and we're gonna do something with our lives, And And like, no kidding, that kind of happened. Like right after I turned 40, or right before I turned 40, I had a massive bottoming out on the biggest tour my band had ever been on at the time,
Wow.
and fought everybody. Got flown out of the festival that we were on. Left my band in Minneapolis, and they had no way to play or make money on the way home. They were just kind of at the mercy of what I had done. Soma flew me out to Las Vegas and got me out of there. We were still using together, but then I went home, and the band had an intervention. And if you know me, you know that the most important thing to me in my life always has been my music. So having the opportunity to do something with music and then like fall flat on my face, and my band like came and gave me the opportunity to get better, and with Soma's help and with our label, which is Fat Records, and Fat Mike, and Aaron Burkett, they all got me into a detox facility where I got off of Xanax along with everything else. But I was constantly taking Xanax and pills, which was kind of like this middle class drug addiction, you know what I mean? But
Yeah.
but then I went through it, and it like melted my brain. And so coming out of that, I found how to be well. I found positivity, and I found the tools. I feels like the universe gave me all the tools to get better. And when I was going through all of this, Soma was also shortly after went through it as well. Like the universe really shook us up, huh, bud?
So much in
Wow.
Yeah.
such a real big way. And like I really came close to dying during that time.
Yeah.
There's some of that stuff is documented in my art, and there's been some music about that. And
Yeah.
I almost took myself out during that time.
Yeah.
And
Oh
then
my goodness.
and then really got better. And harm reduction was actually my journey to getting well. And I was on Suboxone for a period of time. And there's all sorts of different things that really helped me get better. And then meditation, and then really community and art. And because of that, we really felt it was important to share with others. And there's a lot more to the story that we
Right.
can share as we go along.
I think that's
Yeah,
fantastic. Very inspirational.
we decided that, it was like, what's next, And I was driving down the freeway, no shit, and thought, what's next for my friend Soma? Because we're very close friends. We've been through hell together, and from the moment we met, we connected. So, I was like, what's next for my friend Soma? And I said, I think maybe charity work, and I should help her. And like, I saw her a couple weeks later at a festival, and I told her, and she said, I've been thinking of the same thing. And the next week, we were in a meeting with our other partner, Emily Nielsen, who runs Punk Rock and Paintbrushes, and it's kind of like our silent third partner. The next week we were on the street of Skid Row with oranges and water, just trying to figure out what we were going to do, but knew we wanted to do something.
So the Sidewalk Project sort of grew out of that.
Right. And then being artists ourselves, one of the biggest reasons we started was like, when an artist loses their ability to create, it makes a very sick spirit. So
Sure.
we were thinking that if we were down in a place like Skid Row, maybe we'd connect with some artists who, like luckily I have a guitar I've never lost. I'm so lucky to have a roof over my head. But every time I've had a hardship, my mom would say, pick up your guitar, Stace, you know what to do. And that's always saved my life. So a lot of people that, have that too, but don't have the resources or the guitar anymore, or even a pad of paper to like draw or write some thoughts down, like, we got to find those people, and we got to get them back creating. So when we started Sidewalk, it was kind of like a big party. We would have like music, a bunch of, musicians we all know, Jeff from the Agrolites, Johnny from Old Man Markley, me, a bunch of people at the beginning would come down, and we'd have like a big art piece, like a big banner. We'd have people from the street painting with us and listening to music or joining in and singing with us. And we'd do clothing giveaways and hygiene kits and all that kind of stuff. So that's really how the Sidewalk Project started. But the universe wants more for us and from us.
It always
Such
does.
a big way. Yes.
Yeah.
So much more. Yeah. We
So
really. Go
Go
ahead.
ahead, Sam.
You can go ahead.
Well, I was going to say Shannon. We have a friend, Shannon Knox,
I mean,
who is
really before even that, though. I mean, harm reduction started way
right,
before Shannon. But Shannon's been a big part of that. But
right,
really, I mean, harm reduction was a big part of our journey personally, and
right.
really, Tracy H gave us our first Narcan, and we saved a life in San Diego, and because of
Soma, can you explain for people who don't understand exactly what harm reduction entails?
Sure. I mean, harm reduction. So, it's a pretty big conversation because it can refer to a wide range of public health policies and practices. I like to think of harm reduction as a perspective or a mindset. Maybe even like guiding ethical principles that can be applied to a lot of different complex situations in life. And specifically what we're talking about most of the time, especially in this in this particular um, area with the Sidewalk Project, is in relationship to people who use drugs. And so we'll talk about needle exchange, or it might be safe smoking kits. There's also Narcan, which is the wonderful and amazing drug that brings people back to life if they've overdosed.
Yeah, life-saving.
It's just really, really powerful. And overdoses are just out of control right now during the time of COVID. So it's so important for as many people as possible to have Narcan. But harm reduction, like you might hear harm reductionists say things like harm reduction is an act of radical love, or you might hear statements like any small change, or meet people where they are but don't leave people there.
Right.
There's all sorts of these very specific things that you'll hear within the community, because it's actually more than just like public health practices. It's actually a movement. And some of these things might really sound very emotional, because it is a life and death thing. This is people's actually bringing people back to life. It is
Right.
dealing with epidemics, the HIV epidemic. And right now in the time of COVID, there's you can think of harm reduction around COVID. Like wearing a mask could be harm reduction.
Sure.
Using hand sanitizers and distancing, you can think about harm reduction in those perspectives as well. So yeah,
So
it's sort
when
of a
you guys
big conversation. Yeah.
Right. You can't really oversimplify, but when you guys go out onto the streets, whether it's Skid Row or any of the other cities that you guys go to, how are you putting that into play?
So we do this in a variety of different ways. We are a City of Los Angeles approved needle exchange program, and we're actually a mobile program. And as I rudely interrupted my partner, Stacey, she was
Okay.
starting to talk a little bit about how some of that came to life. Like it began, there was a big journey, and there was a lot of amazing people that supported us along the way with that. And one of the people was our very good friend Shannon Knox, who helped us quite a bit in that process. And one of some of the ways, but the question was how's that going into practice. So we provide clean needles, and we do needle exchange. During the time of COVID, it's really important, we do safe smoking kits. And it's really, really important right now, like in Skid Row, there's COVID has actually come to Skid Row now. There's a lot of testing going on, and we're going out and doubling our efforts around safe smoking kits. And there's these little tips that go on to crack pipes and oil burners, and we're making sure that as many as people as possible have these tips, so that when they pass pipes, they're passing them clean, so they're not passing COVID to each other. So there's
Awesome.
a lot of there's a lot of different ways that epidemics and in this case, pandemics can spread, right? Another way that we're doing harm reduction is for sex workers. And as you might know, I'm a dominatrix. I've been a sex worker for many, many years. So within my sex worker community, we came up with protocols for working safe during COVID, because people need to survive. And at the same time as people needing to survive, we want to make sure that they're doing that as safe as possible. We pass out kits that help people with cleaning and with condoms, and then, really support people with education.
Yeah, educating.
It's a really big thing. Stacey, do you want to jump in? I'm talking a whole lot.
No, you are brilliant at this. This is like, okay, so here's the thing. Soma has been boots on the ground. She is out there working with our participants, not only, caring for them in a way where society has left and doesn't care for them at all. Soma's out doing wound care and sitting in court advocating for, sex workers who don't have anybody that would sit and advocate for them in any capacity. The work that she's doing is revolutionary, and it's awe-inspiring, and it's progressive, which is an exciting position to be in. It's like I'm learning about it as we go as well. It's been eye-opening.
When we first talked, I was so struck by both of you in the fact that you are very hands-on and that you are giving a voice to these people and you're hearing them instead of just walking by and ignoring them, which is sadly what most of us do because we want to help, but we don't really know what to do. And I'm so impressed by the fact that you guys have found a way to help people and to meet their needs and to do it in a very humane, respectful way. Like you said, meeting people where they're at, but not leaving them there and really empowering them. And, I think a lot of times it's just a matter of knowing that somebody else cares if you live or die. That makes a huge difference. That somebody else cares about your most basic needs that you somehow can't seem to handle on your own. I think, just having someone extend a hand when you need it the most is so powerful. And I think every single person can relate to that in some aspect. But the work that you guys are doing is really, really remarkable. And you're impacting lives in a huge way. There's so much, I think, misunderstanding regarding the unhoused community and regarding addiction and drug use. People think, gosh, people just need to stop, just don't do it. And and I think a lot of times people will confuse harm reduction with enabling. And there's a huge difference, because I would much rather give someone a clean needle and keep them alive long enough so that they can get clean, rather than telling them, look, it's all or nothing. Either you get off everything you're doing and stop, or screw you can go die. I mean, really, that's essentially what we're telling people if we don't have a middle ground. And I feel like harm reduction is that middle ground that gives people an opportunity to get better. So I don't know if you guys have run into any sort of resistance or roadblocks from people in the course of doing all of this. Can you guys speak to that?
Sure. I think that's such a great point, and love that you're bringing that up. There is a lot of resistance, and that idea specifically that harm reduction or giving people needles is enabling. But it's great because harm reduction is actually evidence-based, and we know that harm reduction actually on a very regular basis leads people to conversations that will lead to less use, different kinds of use, and to recovery. And I can tell you myself,
it's so true,
that harm reduction works. I was very, very heavy in my use. I was, opiates were my thing. And Stacey can attest to this. I was in the last 5 years of my using drugs, I was using opiates, and I was mixing. My drugs were cocaine, opiates, and benzos, and then I was drinking very, very heavily as well. And that was all day, every day for
Every
five
day.
years,
From the
5 years,
yeah.
from the moment that I would wake up to the moment
No
that I went to
shit.
bed. And often I would not go to bed for maybe 5 days at a time. It
Yeah,
was,
that is so,
and like maybe that's a little bit of an understatement. And it's the kind of thing where like, like I wake up in the middle of the night, with lines in my bedside table to
yep.
do more because I'd go into withdrawal,
It's
and
nice to see that you give 100% to everything you do.
you
So.
know, I was
You don't go
devoted,
half
right?
stepping. You don't go half stepping ever. Yeah.
No, not at all. And like I could tell lots and lots of stories about this, but I was in it. And harm reduction worked for me, and Suboxone worked for me, and part of that was smoking weed and ketamine treatments and all of this stuff, and I had to do a little bit at a time because all of it at a time would have actually killed me. And that's one of the things
Sure.
that people don't talk about as well. If you just quit
Yeah.
cold turkey, you're going to die. Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So
Very dangerous.
this is actually a medical thing as well that, we need to know about. And the idea of like not, like denying needles from someone, you're going to end up with people using needles off of the ground,
And that's what
people are
happens
gonna
time and time again.
so much, and people are going to use needles, sharing needles with each other, and then that's where disease spreads. So this is all based
Right.
based in health, right? And we know from experience that people then come to us and say, what's my road to recovery? And
Right.
that's how we can facilitate that, and that's really exciting, like incredibly exciting.
Well, I think it's an example of that radical love that you mentioned, showing somebody that you're not judging them, that, you genuinely care for them and want to help them. And I think that tends to attract people more. Love pulls, hate pushes. And so, you show somebody, look, I care about you not using a dirty needle. I care about you not getting other diseases. I understand that you're struggling. Let me give you this clean needle to help you through. I think that that's a wonderful, beautiful thing that can be easily misunderstood by a lot of people. But in reality, that's what works. That's what helps. And I do think it's important to point out too that there is no one size fits all when it comes to recovery. For some people, recovery is complete abstinence from everything, and that's what works for them. Fantastic. For other people, that's where harm reduction comes in. And I think that's fantastic too, because at the end of the day, my perspective is that it's all about keeping someone alive long enough to get to that point of recovery and of healing. And obviously my perspective, I wish my brother was still here. I wish that he'd had one more day, one more opportunity. And I'm sure that anybody who's lost a loved one to their addiction would say the same thing. Would I prefer that he never stick a needle in his arm? Absolutely. But he was doing it already. So would I prefer that he have a clean needle? You bet. And I think anybody would say that about their loved ones as well. So I think it's a wonderful, beautiful thing that you guys are doing.
Sorry about your brother.
Yeah.
I'm really sorry.
Thank you.
In our music community, it's just a tragedy. His loss is felt throughout the world. You know what I mean? Like, so I wish that the boys had Narcan. You know what I mean? Like, what if? You never know. You never know.
Yeah. You're absolutely right.
What I was gonna go back to saying is that my little spirit is always like, with needles, it's like if you get somebody to stop picking up the needle from the ground and thinking that that's what their worth is, and you give them some new needles, and then they're like, hey, you know what? I'm going to use new needles because I'm worth it. It's even a little step to start building towards getting people back connected and feeling good about themselves even. I just wanted to share that little bit.
That's exactly
it really is.
That's the any small change thing too. And then I think that you made some great points about, what is wellness and what is sobriety, and what it looks like for one person is different for another, or what is even recovery. I mean, Stacey even talks about, well, like, I'm California sober, like.
Right. I still smoke weed.
Yeah,
I
and
do,
again, it's different for everyone, and I
Right.
think that the bottom line is being in recovery, being in a situation where you can function, where you can enjoy your life, where you can make the most of what you've been given instead of being enslaved to something that's keeping you from
Right.
doing all of that.
100%, Kelly. That is
Yeah.
exactly why I've been able to allow myself those things. It's like, um, it's exactly that.
I love the sense of community that you guys have too with the work that you do. And I know Bryndee has experienced this a lot too. She goes out with her kids and supports the homeless and gives them clothing and food and basic hygiene type things. Bryndee, I'm sorry, I don't mean to leave you out of all of this. I
No,
did invite you here for a reason.
I'm thoroughly enjoying listening to you guys. I've
I
had chills
know.
throughout this whole conversation.
They're
So,
amazing. Yeah,
yeah,
but
yeah,
so you've
you
you've
women
spent some
really
time
are.
out there with your kids, Bryndee, right? Can you just share a little bit about how that's impacted them in seeing people and
Yeah.
getting up close and not being afraid of the unhoused community?
Yeah, I'd love to because when I was a kid, I remember watching my dad um, giving to someone who was unhoused, and I remember the impact it had on me, and realizing I had a certain respect for my dad that he cared for this person, and I've carried that with my own kids, and I believe it's important that we be role models and show it's contagious when people see us giving to others and respecting others. And Stacey, I loved what you were saying about it making these people feel like they're worthy, that they're human. And um, when you look these people in the eye, when you say, have a good day, do you need another bottle of water, anything, it makes them feel human for a minute, and it gives them a sense of hope. And I think that's really important.
Community is key, man. I thank you for saying that. That's the other thing. It's like, we've hired some people from the street too. We want to elevate people's lives and keep them in the game. It's not like we're giving them stuff and then walking away. It's like, now you are a part of us. So let's all thrive.
That's
Right.
huge.
Yeah, it's amazing. And I know that it helps them to see themselves as human again. And I know people who have gone from homeless who are now homeowners. I'm in recovery myself, and I see it all the time. I see these people hold themselves up. And I love that your lady's story started with recovery, and you just thought, what can I do to make the world a better place? And I love that so much. And I love working with Kelly because I feel like, I've gotten this gift of life. So what can I do to give back to others? And I so appreciate what you guys are out there doing.
Thanks, Bryndee.
So tell us a little bit about the beginning. So you said you would incorporate art and music. Do you guys still do that? I know it's a little different with COVID, but are you still able to bring some of that into the things that you're doing?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think we're always going to look for ways to incorporate our artists in with what we're doing. But also, we just did in November, we did Skid Row Thanksgiving, where we got some musicians down for the first time in a while, right? To play some music for our event.
Yeah, it was really, really good to have that. A bunch of people from our punk community and some reggae community. Matt Nathanson came from San Francisco, and we did a video together. So that was really, really good to have a bunch of different communities. He's a singer-songwriter, so it's sort of like a bunch of different musicians that don't necessarily usually hang out together, and we love seeing that, when
Yeah.
it's like a melting pot of different genres, and it's like you would never usually see these people all hanging out together making music. And then it's really, really accessible, and we like to focus on oldies because
Yeah.
everyone can kind of agree on that. And then we want to make it as accessible to our participants on the street as possible and make it like a sing-along. And that
That's it.
happened in November, which was really, really good. And we
Oh, wow.
have there have been a few murals that have happened during
That's right.
COVID, with some of our amazing artists wearing masks, Shannon and Crucio and Joe, and like some of these really great artists who have been with us for a really long time. Some of them actually did some fantastic art on the side of the Beverly Center, which was like, how rad is that? We're
I
like,
know.
Wow, that's huge.
so great. And for it to continue to happen during COVID is really, really exciting. And but we do have to be careful, right? And we're being a
Yeah.
little bit more cautious again right now during the surge. Not a little bit. We're being really cautious right
Really
now.
cautious. We're fighting for vaccines early because our team is out there. Soma's out there every day, and she doesn't want to
Yeah.
spread it, and we don't want her to get sick. You know what I mean? So we're vigilant. I haven't been to the office in a couple months because of COVID, and it's like I just can't have that too. You know what I mean?
Right. That's all you need. One more thing.
I don't want that too. Yeah.
Exactly. We don't want that for you. No.
Yeah, I know
Right.
it. So, but that's the other cool thing is that, Soma and I have created something that gives us the flexibility to be us still. And that's so cool. You know what I mean? As two ladies who, came from a negative perspective to have a positive perspective, and like happiness grows as it shares. I mean, happiness grows as it's shared, excuse me, is really how we live our lives. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
I I
Oh,
have more
dude.
positive
So
people
great.
around me than I have negative people around me. That's a fact,
Oh,
That's
and
you know?
phenomenal.
Stacy, like
Yeah.
before this call, we got to
Yeah.
call a couple of our volunteers and hire them part-time.
Hire them.
It was so
Right.
great. Like, and just having those phone calls, so heartwarming,
It's
Wow.
so
special.
exciting. Yeah.
That's
Soma
wonderful.
texted me the other night at like 11 and was like, "I'm real excited about our lives, bud." And I was like, "I am so excited about our lives too." It's rad
What
and
a
it's not
gift to be able to
cheesy.
say.
Right.
Yeah.
It's not cheesy. It's like people walk around thinking that like this kind of living is like a cheesy way, like, oh, it's so, but it's like so powerful on this side of life. Like anything is possible. Magic happens when you are giving and you're happy. And I just want so much for humanity to get to wake up to this because I don't feel like the universe gave me this gift for no reason. I have a big mouth, you know what I mean? I'm supposed to go out and
The universe wants you to use it
yeah,
in a good
use
way.
Say
it.
great things.
Right.
Well, the one thing I've noticed that I love about the recovery community is that it's very focused on service to others and on giving back and on sharing what we've been given. And
Yeah.
that's something I think everyone can benefit from. I wish the whole world believed that. I wish the whole world put that into practice. But sadly, that doesn't happen. And I think the Sidewalk Project is a great way for people to be able to do that, to be able to get involved. And
Right.
so when you guys go out, can anybody come with you? I mean, do you take volunteers, whether they be, people that want to help out or artists or musicians or whatever?
We take everybody. Right now, we're kind of keeping it small because COVID. We don't want anybody to get sick on our watch. But
Right.
usually, we invite everybody down. When we have a sidewalk project, we want to hang out. We want everybody to come down and help out.
Awesome.
Yeah, and I think, there's so many different opportunities on how to work during this time. It's like, there's a ton of advocacy, like
Right.
right now during this time, it's like we're in the midst of a surge, right? In Los Angeles, the hospitals are really full, and, it's like they're not even really the ambulances. I don't know if you all have been staying on top of this, but it's like they're triaging people out in the field, right, and deciding which people
Yeah.
to take back to the hospital and all of that stuff.
It's
So we know that
heartbreaking.
the surge is so intense right now, and we're seeing like the overflow and that effect directly on the street. And during this time, the CDC has said the best thing is for unhoused encampments to be left alone. Like, don't sweep them, because that actually creates more cultural effect, right? Like, so, because it's going to cause more public health damage when people are displaced.
Yeah.
And city council actually just approved some really extensive sweeps. There was 60 people in Harbor City that were just knocked out of their encampment, and this kind of thing is, we really believe we're responsible as people to show up for, the most vulnerable, to speak, and to speak against this kind of systemic violence against the unhoused, especially in this time during COVID. So, there's lots of different ways to get involved. It's like, if you're at home and you don't feel like comfortable coming out with the Sidewalk Project right now, you could do some advocacy. You can write letters and say, don't hurt our unhoused folks right now, and there's other ways. It's like, one of the things that we say is, wherever there's a sidewalk, there's an opportunity for a sidewalk project. What that actually means is you can carry water in your car. And, when you see people on the side of a freeway and they're asking for money, you can hand out a hygiene kit. You can hand out a bottle of water. It's like, we all have the opportunity to help, just within our own communities, just by keeping our eyes open and offering the resources that we have available to us. So,
Absolutely.
we can just really be very creative. And I mean, Stacey, do you want to add anything to that?
Yeah, I also wanted to say that the fear that goes along with, like, addressing the unhoused population. It's like, most people don't want to engage because they're afraid. When, like, the belief is, don't get involved. You know what I mean? When it
Right.
really is up to us to help every little bit of the way, why wouldn't you? You know what I mean?
Right.
I think
Now,
it says so much when you don't.
right.
That's it.
For people who may not have much experience, can you help understand, are people unhoused because they're lazy?
No.
What are some of the reasons why you find that people are in that situation?
One of the biggest reasons that people are unhoused is because of affordable housing.
There's no places, right?
You can actually look this up. There's studies on this, and especially in Los Angeles, the ratio between what people are paid and how much housing costs doesn't equate. So
Yeah, it's outrageous.
how much we make doesn't allow us to pay how much our housing is. So people end up being they just can't afford it. And so there's all sorts of stigma. There's stigma towards people who use drugs, there's stigma towards sex workers, there's stigma towards the unhoused community, and that reflects in the words that we use as well. Like,
Right.
we might say homeless, we might say druggie, we might say hooker or whatever. But what's really important to understand is that's actually just your neighbor. This person is
Exactly.
exactly just like you, trying to survive. And the line between your home and the street is very thin, and it can happen so fast. It could happen with a car accident. It could happen with,
Absolutely.
whatever it is. And, the people that are living on the street, it's like, you would really be very surprised how very similar your life is. Like, I've been unhoused many times, and like, I've actually, and there's many different kinds of unhoused, and I've even been unhoused living in hotel rooms with my child. So it's really important to understand that this is a circumstance. It's not who someone is.
Right. Doesn't define them.
Yeah.
Right. And we did this United Shades of America documentary that was on CNN, and what was the gentleman's name from LA Can?
Pete White is from LA Can, amazing activist.
Right. And he was saying, you can not have a drug problem when you come down here, but you could pick one up real quick. You know what I mean?
Sure.
Like, after you've lost everything, when you're down there with it, it's harder to not.
Sure, you got nothing to lose.
Right. So that was something that was striking to me in that documentary. When I heard him speak, it was like, God damn it. You know what I mean? Fuck.
It's a really, really important documentary to watch as well, because it really goes into the systemic racism aspect
Right.
which
Which
is
is
super important to talk about as well, because there's such a big aspect to systemic racism and poverty and
right.
and being unhoused as well, that has to be talked about. That it's an intersectional discussion to have.
For
um,
sure. Can you
yeah.
repeat the name of that documentary?
United Shades of America. And we were actually, briefly featured in this particular episode, and I can't remember what the episode. Stace, do you remember?
I don't remember what the episode was, but I know that it's around. Like if you wanted to check it, it's probably on YouTube.
It's probably like something about Skid Row or something about
Yeah, the homeless
homelessness or
epidemic. That's what it was. It was like the homeless epidemic or something.
yeah.
The
Nice.
truth behind it or something.
And now you guys have an awesome promotional video that in it you mentioned a couple things that I wanted to highlight. You mentioned helping people get into recovery and helping people get employed, or selling their art, and then giving that money back to them. What are some of those stories that you can share with us?
Well, just recently we have hired through our program. Now we're looking at a fourth person from Skid Row to work to be a community outreach specialist with us, because the relationships out there are so important, the building of the relationships and the trust, as you can imagine.
Sure.
So we
Yeah.
actually we're really very committed to this model, and we actually got a grant, and our friend Shannon wrote the grant, and it was the Cheery grant, and we're just like incredibly honored that we were
Chosen, yeah.
chosen to be one of the grantees. And it's really a game changer for us and how we've been able to work. But the way that we structured this is something that we're incredibly committed to, and we're calling it pure empowerment through employment. And what we really believe is that that power is hoarded by the establishment and by people on just a regular basis. And the unhoused community, to really assist the unhoused community to come in and be like, we're your saviors, here's a sandwich.
Right.
Right.
It's
Here's your kit. See ya.
It's just like a further form of exploitation, and
Sure.
it's condescending. True empowerment lifts people up, right? So to empower people, you have to give them resources, and actual real resources, which would be education and jobs. And so and we are new, we are young, so this is something that we're still developing, but our first real step with that is to hire some people who live on the street. And so we were really excited to be able to do that this year. So we hired 3 people. One person is actually my younger brother, who is unhoused, and he and I have been unhoused together at certain points in our lives. He's been housed again. There's been large periods of time where I have supported him, and he's back out on the street again. And he's just a powerful advocate right now. It's amazing to watch him start to develop more and more now that we've given him this job. He's one of our harm reduction specialists. He's doing powerful work on the street. Last night he saved a life with our Narcan.
Wow. Oh, wow.
This wouldn't happen if he wasn't working in our program. Another person is
and empowered to do it.
Empowered
to do it.
Right. Empowered to do it. And then there's another woman named Russia, who's a sex worker, longtime resident of Skid Row. And she's just amazing. Wise woman.
She's so great. Yeah, she's so great.
We love her so much.
You guys would love her.
Phenomenal. And people come to her for advice and like women's
health. She teaches the young, sex workers, like, you can't not wear a condom and just do it in the butt, because the butt actually, the anus actually absorbs things faster than anywhere. So don't do that. You got to use condoms. Like she
And you got to
teaches
use
It's
that.
practical stuff.
You
Yeah.
got to use
Yeah.
lube. So yeah. And so recently we raised money for her, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we got an RV. So she's off the street and she's living in an RV in her community. And she hasn't been messed with yet, and we're really happy about that. And there's still a lot of stuff around that we have to figure out.
It's an
But
ongoing thing, but
yeah, but
she's
she's
doing
off the
great.
street. Yeah, she's off the
Absolutely.
street.
That's
She
wonderful.
And
doesn't.
empowering her
Yeah.
own community. And then we've got
Right.
Crucio, who's OG former drug dealer.
Right.
And now he's a harm
And-
reductionist in our program.
And selling his art to places, to Green Day.
You know?
Fantastic.
His art is hanging in Trey Cool's house.
That is so rad. And I love that you guys are doing
killer.
you're extending your reach, and you're really
Right.
having an exponential effect on these people, because now it's not just what you're able to do, but it's what they're able to do
It's what
beyond
they're able
you.
to do.
Right,
That's it.
right.
It's what they're able to do.
Yeah.
Right.
And there's such a difference between, like you said, between helping someone and empowering them. And I think both are necessary. When someone's
Both are necessary.
at their rock bottom,
Yes,
they need
yes.
some help. They have no power. They just need some help. But then beyond that, after you've helped them, after you've met them where they're at, that's where the empowerment comes in. And that's where you allow them to continue on what you've started after you're no longer there. And that, I think, is really, really life-changing.
Kelly.
So, Jarett, we've totally ignored you this whole time, and I apologize if you had
Sorry, Jarett.
some things you wanted to say. I know you've tried a couple of times, but with all of us, it's really difficult to get a word in edgewise. Before I sort of shift gears, do you have anything you wanted to ask the ladies?
I'm just really happy to be here. I
Thanks
think,
for joining us tonight, Jarett.
It's a lot of fun. No, it's an amazing story, and I think the thing that sticks out the most to me is, I get to sit back and listen to these podcasts, and listening to this story is just so inspiring, that coming from what you both came from, and then to be willing to jump right back in to help others. It's like a burn victim who goes to be a firefighter. It's amazing that you guys are ladies are able to do that, and I just think it's really inspiring.
That's a great analogy. I like that.
It really is. Thank you.
Yeah, that's very true. And, there's two, I started out by saying how incredible you guys are, and you really are. But I think it's also important for people to know that anybody can do this too. Like, it doesn't take any specific skill set. It just takes a willingness to help people, to stick out a hand, to serve, and we can all do that. And I think that you guys are a wonderful example of that for sure. And you have the ability to create something that allows other people to do that as well, So I think that's where your amazingness, your special gifts come in, and that you're not just out there doing it, but you're also creating this place where other people who want to help can join you and help too. And that is what I think is so remarkable about what you're doing.
I love that.
I've got to, yeah, and I got to say
Community.
that, like, people have helped me in my life over and over and over and over again. Like, for me not to see that and want to do the same would be a crime against humanity. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
that's
So
fantastic.
it's like,
And-
we got to take care of each other, especially when you come from nothing and you got nothing. Like, it really is important to take care of each other. It just is. Like, the neighborhood I grew up in was a poor neighborhood, but we all are still in each other's lives some 40 years later. You know what I mean? Because
That's
we've always
beautiful.
been there for each other. Yeah.
Yeah. One of the things that I've noticed since starting the Nowell Family Foundation is love in action. That's the thing that really touches my heart so much, because people want to help. I don't think there's a shortage of people wanting to help. It's just knowing how to help and then actually getting off your ass and helping. And so
Right.
there's these different, different levels of intent. But when you actually put that into action, when you put what's in your heart, your, desire to help, your desire to be of service, and you actually do something about it, that's where you not only can change other people's lives, but it also changes you. It's really transformative. And, I think it's also empowering for you as you're helping other people. And then, like you said, also, the happiness grows as it's shared. And I think that's a beautiful benefit of all the stuff that you guys are doing. So I also want to let everybody know, which I sort of touched on at the beginning, that Stacey, you are in the awesome all-girl punk band Bad Cop, Bad Cop, and you guys did a cover of All You Need for the house that Bradley built. Thank you so much for doing that.
It was so fun. We were honored to be part of it. I have to just say, as a musician, Brad and his band was a band that really inspired me to do what I do. At the beginning, when I was a kid, I was a drug addict. I did meth, from that. And when I decided that it was time for me to move on, your brother's band, Sublime, was really in the mix of the bands that made me want to be doing what he was doing as a musician. So I'm forever grateful to your
Awesome.
brother, because he helped me actually get off drugs when I was young, like 20, to take my
Wow.
music seriously. Yeah. Yeah. But moving on and then becoming my own artist and stuff, like Sublime has always been a band I've loved. And then I met Miguel through a mutual friend, and he was like, you guys got to do this song. And then we always talk about music, listen to records and all this kind of stuff. And we decided that maybe it would be really cool to just have like a guitar in the room and us singing together, like a
Yes.
campfire kind of feel.
Yeah. Love
You know
it.
what I mean? So that's what we did. Like, I got Myra, our drummer, was singing on that too. It was so much fun.
My mind was blown the first time I heard it, because that was I didn't necessarily have the word campfire in my head, but it was this sense of, that's kind of where I come from. My whole family, we would gather around at, Christmas parties and all the holidays. And at some point in the night, the instruments come out and everybody sits around and plays and sings and dances. And, that was our normal.
Love
And so
that.
when I
Yeah.
heard that, that's exactly what it reminded me of. It's like, you know what, we're all hanging out, we're having fun. Hey, we all know the song, let's get together and sing it. I mean, I don't know, it made me feel really connected to that song and to the vibe that you guys were trying to create from the cover of it. And so, yeah, thank you so much for doing it. You really, really nailed it.
Just a real honor to be part of it. I mean, there are some incredible bands on there, and it's just a testament to what your brother and the band have created. I mean, your brother's music will never not be heard in the world, ever. You know what I mean? Like, it will always
Mm,
be. And that's
that's
like so
amazing.
rare. Yeah. It's and I say that to Miguel all the time. I'm like, what you've done is incredible. What you guys did is just like, it doesn't happen often. You know what I mean? And
Yeah, it's really special.
really special. So getting to
Yeah.
be part of it and get to do something a little bit different with that song, because you know how crazy that song is. You know what I mean? That song is fast and all over the place. So to kind of break it down and have that kind of fun time with it was a blast. It really was.
Yeah, it's just perfect. I also want to point out that music is so powerful in so many people's lives. And I love that it is something that you guys use on the streets to help other people, and is also something that's helped you in your personal lives. And, drugs in and of themselves, just like anything else, they're not bad. It's that they're a thief. Addiction is a thief. And the things that people could be doing if they weren't so wrapped up in their addiction or so controlled by whatever substances that they're addicted to, those are the real tragedies. Like it's what they rob not only them but other people around them from, and so obviously, heroin stole Brad from us and took away, obviously someone that I love very much and that was a huge part of my life, but also took away the potential for more music. And I mention that because I think it does that for everybody. I mean, you even said that when you finally hit your bottom, you had to stop you couldn't continue on the tour and all that kind of stuff. I mean, it was a thief. It was robbing you and your bandmates and your audience, your fans, all those people of the music. And so, now that you're in recovery and on a good path and playing the music, you're able to give that gift and we can all enjoy it. And I think that's a big part of why I'm so passionate about helping people recover, because I feel like we all have so much to contribute to the world around us and so much to give. But when we're strung out or obsessed with something, whether it's, a substance or anything, any sort of addiction,
food or over exercising or whatever.
Right. It's a thief. Right. Exactly. And it robs us of so many great things that we could have and ultimately waste the short time that we have here on earth. So,
it's so true. Like my biggest thing, Kelly, is like getting people to untwist from the stuff that's made them sad. And I know that addiction is a disease that comes for a lot of us a lot easier than others.
Sure. Absolutely.
But like getting people to get to live their dreams, get to, even a gift of taking accountability to be free from a lot of stuff. You know what I mean? Like,
sure.
It's such a passion for me going forward in my life is to help people, because we all deserve to have a good fucking life. Life as a human being on this planet is incredible. It's incredible. Like everybody should be able to, and bad stuff happens to everybody, but how do you walk through it? Do you grow from it? Do you let it control you and ruin you? You know what I mean? Like,
exactly.
So yeah, it's I'm happy to talk about it.
Yeah. And to bring Bryndee back into this conversation too, I'm sorry, I feel like I'm sort of overpowering everyone here, but Bryndee is a great example of someone who has overcome all that too. And, came to the point where she had to make a decision about whether she was going to lose all the things that were important to her or whether she was going to get into recovery. And I have so much respect for her. When I heard her story, I knew that she was someone that I could respect and trust, and she really gets it. She understands why we're doing what we're doing with the Nowell Family Foundation. And I think Bryndee, that's one of the things that makes you so effective in all the things that you do. I mean, that introduction that Jarett gave for me, he could have said for you too, because you're a single mom, you work all these jobs, you help out, you donate your time and your talents and all that kind of stuff. And I think you're a wonderful example as well.
Oh, well, thank you. I actually was going to second Jarett saying that about you. I think you're an inspiration to me, Kelly. I don't know if I deserved all that you just said, but I definitely appreciate the life that I have. I know Soma and Stacey were both just talking about that, and I'm so grateful for it. I didn't, they say, when you go into recovery, you get a chance at a second life. I feel like for me, it was like a chance at a first life. And life is so beautiful today, and I want to give to other people to show them how great life can be and how amazing recovery is. And, I love with the Nowell Foundation, we want to start with those influencers, the musicians that can tell people, it's not corny. It's a great life to be sober and to be helpful to others. It's part of recovery is, service to others, and that's anybody, not just others in recovery. So, or with, addiction. So
absolutely. That's a great point.
I can't agree more about the first life thing. When you said that, it's like struck a chord with me, because like, no kidding, after I got to change my perspective, it was like I finally got to see what life really could be.
Yeah, it was amazing. It's amazing. I love life today, and I did not feel that way for the first 34 years of my life.
Word up.
So Stacey, what's next for Bad Cop, Bad Cop?
Well, this is an exciting time because we can't tour, and if you're in a band, you know that like the first record you make is like you had all the time in the world to write that record with your bandmates, But then after that first record, and if you become successful, you're touring, and you don't have that time. You get thrown back into like having a month to do the next record, like quick.
Right.
So this. Right now, as soon as COVID calms down, like we had been practicing up to 2 times a week throughout COVID, because we genuinely love each other and we really like being around and need each other. Like things get crazy if we're not together, So So we're hoping and planning to start writing our next record together, where we can really be part of all of it, instead of, the fast way people make records these days. I mean,
Right.
Michael always is like, you guys need to do like something where you're ready to go and you're live and you're playing it fucking live. And it's like, you're right. Like, when does a band get the opportunity to do that these days? You just don't. It's like,
Right.
people are separate. You do it when whoever's got the time to go in and do their parts. It's like, it's fast. So that's really what we're working on right now, and we've got some tours planned for Europe in October, if it's safe. We have a festival in Atlanta in September, if it's safe. What we want to do, kind of though, is focus and stay close to home. Stick to California. There's great places to play throughout California, that would keep us busy, at least on the weekends, for the time being, until it really gets back to where we can, get back to our lives. Because my band was like literally 4 to 6 months out of the year, we're gone. We're gone.
Wow.
So
That's
like, this
tough.
has been, it's tough, but it's been kind of a really nice welcome break that we all really needed, this COVID, to be honest.
I'm
Like,
sure.
we
I'm
needed
sure.
something to stop us, from driving ourselves crazy. So but we've kept it up. We've stayed connected. We haven't lost a bit of energy, and we're just moving into what's next. And it's exciting.
Wonderful. And of course, people can hear your song when the House That Bradley Built Deluxe Edition comes out on the 15th of January, which will
Oh,
be
so
just several days.
soon.
Yeah, just several days after this episode is posted. So that'll be great timing. And now, as far as the Sidewalk Project, I do want to make sure everybody knows what they can do to get involved, whether they want to donate money or time or resources. Obviously, there's your website, thesidewalkproject.org. What's the best way for people to get involved if they're sitting there going, I want to do something, but I don't know what to do?
They can reach out to us. Soma has been running a weekly Zoom meeting where we invite people, don't we, Soma, to get involved in talking
That's
about what
it.
we're doing. That was another thing. It's like, when COVID happened, we got organized. Like, Soma started a Zoom meeting with all of our volunteers from the different cities that we have sidewalk branches in, and everybody just got real. Let's do this together. So that's kind of a big thing. If you want to join in, you reach out to Soma or I, and we'll get you connected with. I'll get you connected with Soma. Soma will put you right to where you work best.
And what's the best way to reach you guys? Through the website? I know there's a contact.
Yeah, there, or Instagram. If you write me on Instagram, I'll see it, and always talk about Sidewalk with you.
When
Yes.
is the Zoom meeting?
It's every Sunday evening at 8 o'clock.
Okay, awesome.
And you are all very welcome. And we do a lot of education in the Zoom meeting too. So, people can
Yeah.
come join us, and, even just, it depends on the day, but we do education about harm reduction. We do sex worker, sort of like cultural competency education.
Which
We
is a
do.
big one, Soma, right? That's something that we wanted to talk about tonight too, was how people should be treated on the street, if they're a sex worker or a person who uses drugs, like, that needs to be changed, you know?
Yeah, and just even, sort of talking about the terms that we use, that's something that we really care about. Um, and then just sort of pushing back against stigma in our society, and sort of like questioning the words that we put in our mouths. Um,
$100%.
we were sort of talking about that, a little bit today, even, that, um, we want to use words that, rather than labeling a person by their behavior, sort of like as alcoholic or addict, or sort of like having people sort of getting stuck in their identity. There's something about some of these labels, they imply a permanency to the condition, right? And there's like, it's sort of like leaves no room for change. And it also it definitely, it's sort of like strips dignity and humanity, which is, I think, something
Right.
we were
It's so
talking
true.
about
Earlier,
quite
yeah.
a bit today. Go ahead, Stace.
Yeah, I had used the term drug addict, and she said, no, people who use drugs. And I was like, gosh, I got so much to learn. I'm 45, that old. We come from the 70s still, where shit was fucking wild. You know what I mean? So, like, no kidding, no kidding though. But like, this is something that I've spoke about, and I've in practice since I got better. Was that I used to say I had anxiety and depression, and I wore it like a fucking cheap suit. You know what I mean? I lived
Mm.
under that. And when I got better, I stopped saying that. I don't say those words anymore. Sometimes I say I have a little bit of anxiety today, but I don't say, oh, I have anxiety and depression, but now I say I'm a positive, happy person. And like, no kidding, those words have shifted me into that reality. So like,
Yeah.
that really works. So,
Yeah, there's
using
a
the right
mental
words
shift.
around people, really, it really is.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
there's a big difference between um, being an addict or using a drug. Like it doesn't
right,
define who you are. It's just something that you're doing. And really, I think
right,
bottom line, it's just having respect for other people,
right,
treating people, not just how you want to be treated, but how they want to be treated, I think is a super powerful thing, that it's not about how I think I should be treating you. It's about how I recognize how you want to be treated and treating you with respect. And I think everybody, regardless of their circumstances, deserves to be treated with respect. And when we lose that, then all of a sudden we become very combative in our society. And all of a sudden it's all about, what I can get at your expense, or,
right.
or looking down upon you. And now all of a sudden we're marginalizing everybody, and we're reducing all of our capacities to do good and to live a better life. Whereas if we can build each other up and strengthen each other, then all of a sudden you want to do better. You want to treat everybody nicer. You want to have a better life. And I think that elevates everybody. So I think that's a huge thing, to be careful of the words that we use, and how we approach people, how we talk to people, and how we look at them. And just genuinely, if you see someone on the street and you don't have anything to give them, at least give them a smile. Maybe they haven't had anybody smile at them in a couple of days. Give them a smile.
Totally.
Let them know that you recognize them as a human being and as a person with value and worth. And I think that can go a long way.
Beautifully said, Kelly.
So great.
Yes.
Thank you. Well, thank you guys so much for being on the show. I really appreciate all of you, the things that you're doing. Like I said, putting that love into action. You're a wonderful example, and you really are changing lives. And I appreciate you coming on to sort of illuminate that for all of us, and to share that, and also hopefully give us an opportunity to get involved with you as well. So thank you so much.
Thank you so much for letting us be able to talk about harm reduction and all the things, and try to destigmatize some of the stuff around it. It's really great to be able to talk to your community about it.
That's my pleasure. Absolutely. Well, thank you guys so much. And I definitely,
Yeah,
like I said, look forward to doing some work with you guys in the future.
Thank
same.
you. So much the same. Thank you.
Yeah.
You bet.
Now,
All right.
now, Stacey, before I let you go, before we get you off here, since you are our musical guest,
Yeah.
you will not be exempt from picking a Sublime song for our for our continuing tradition. Every musical guest, I've asked them to, if you met somebody that had never heard Sublime before, and you were going to play one song for them to kind of break it down, a song that means something to you, what Sublime song are you
Aw.
playing?
Oh my God, this is such a hard question. Oh my God. Let me see.
I know everybody says the same thing. The good thing is there's no
So many
wrong
good
answer.
ones.
I don't
Yeah.
think we should let the other ladies off the hook either, by the way. I think you all need to answer the question.
Okay.
Jared's being
Okay,
too nice.
hold on. I have made this decision. I went through a, I think it's Pool Shark. Let me
Oh.
hear it again. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wait. No, that's not it. That's not
You
it.
just
Sorry.
refreshing your memory? What are you doing over there?
Yeah, I am. God, you have to remember I am a musician. My memory is terrible.
I like this. This is a Bradley's house first. Just double checking on it. I like that.
Oh, I also ball and chain, you guys. You know what I mean? Here's the thing. I always loved the punk aspects to Sublime a lot.
Sure.
Um, so when it gets fast, I was always like, yeah, yeah, yeah. And I loved ball and chain. I know that was an older one. Uh, yeah.
That's a great one.
It's a
That's a great
classic.
answer. Yeah.
Okay, okay. I do. I love that one. But the one is where he's singing real soft and it's about shooting pool, but he's shooting up, he's the dinosaur. God, what is
Yeah,
that
that's Pool
one?
Shark. That's Pool
Yeah,
Shark.
It
that's
is
Pool
Pool
Shark.
Shark. Yeah, then I was right. That's the one. That song
You were
makes me
right,
cry.
Stace.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay,
that's
great. Great.
powerful.
I'm not wrong. It is powerful. Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, that's actually the one song that I can't listen to. That one's a hard one. It just hearing, I feel the pain in his lyrics. And then, of course, the final lyric is one day I'm going to lose the war, and which,
That's
as we all know, he
100%
did.
right.
Yeah, and it's a powerful song. It's my choice to not listen to it is not because it's not a great song. It's just too raw, too fresh. But yeah, that's a good
The way he
choice.
sings it, the melodies in it, it's just so beautiful and sad at the same time. And that's
Yeah,
a
it's
hard thing to
haunting.
achieve. It's
Yeah.
haunting, yeah. So I was right. It's Pool Shark. That's my final answer.
Sold. It's yours. You
All
got
right.
it. I'm just happy you didn't. If you would have said April 29th, 1992, the Leary version, I would have known the fix was in. So
That's right. That was Miguel's answer,
Okay, all
Stace.
right.
All right.
He's hella funny.
Does anybody else want to weigh in? I'm not going to put you on the spot, but if you want to weigh in with the song.
I mean, I could talk about, all of Sublime's songs, but when I try to explain to younger generations who don't know who Sublime is, I always say, the song Bad Fish, right? But I love the song Burritos. I loved it when I was a kid.
It's a
Just
good one.
not wanting to do anything and trying to recap the night before. And I don't know, there's too many to pick, but that's mine, Burritos.
That's a very
burritos
relatable song.
sold.
Good choice. Good choice.
I'll be honest, it's been a while since I listened to Sublime.
That's okay. I'm not going to
but
put you on the spot.
I'm thinking Caress Me Down's a pretty filthy song, and I come from
Yeah.
Always a good one.
That seems like a very appropriate choice, Soma. And that is a great song. That is a great song. I think one thing that Sublime always did was give each song authenticity, a real genuine feel to it. And I think that's what allows us all to relate to their music. And he definitely does that in Caress Me Down as well.
His voice, man.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's whenever people ask me if I speak Spanish, I say, "You mean like Sublime Spanish, or?" 'Cause I'll give you Caress Me Down or Chico My Tipo, but other than that, I don't know what's going on. So, yeah, it's Caress Me Down, sold. That's another great one.
I actually have had people be very surprised when they meet me that I'm not Hispanic, because in their mind they thought that Brad must be Hispanic because of his
No
fluency.
Not only that, but the things that he sang about, like, I was like, yeah, my mom does fucking dope and smokes pot too. Like, let's talk. I identify. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, he
but
did a
he
great
just
job.
he did a great job. He summed up that time of life perfectly. I mean, especially from somebody coming from nothing, like, it seemed like he knew, it
Yeah.
just did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He was an observer. He was an observer of people, and it really allowed him to relate in a big way. And, while we're talking about it, I do think that the Sidewalk Project is something that he would have absolutely loved. He had no fear when it came to talking with people. He was never, intimidated by someone in their station in life, and would talk to anybody. And I could very easily see him being a part of what you guys are doing. And that's another reason why it really touches my heart as well. So thank you for all the great work that you're doing. Thank you for being on the show. And
Thanks for
we
having us.
definitely look forward to spending more time with you guys.
Appreciate
100%.
you.
Thank you, ladies. Wow, Kelly, you were right. An awful lot of estrogen in this week's conversation, but
You handled it well.
It was amazing. It was so much fun to get to sit back and hear that inspiring story, and that was just an amazing conversation, and three very special ladies joining us. And
Yeah.
thank you for setting that up.
Absolutely. It was a real honor for me to be able to have them all on, for sure.
Now, Kellie, 2020 was a tough year. We all know that. We all went through the struggles, but that didn't stop all these amazing folks who have helped the Nowell Family Foundation continue to get closer to making Bradley's house a reality.
That's so true. You know, when all of this started happening with the shutdowns in the spring, and it really threw us for a loop at first, because so much of our focus in getting the word out and in getting support was through music events, and all of a sudden all of those stopped, and not only did that impact us, but it also impacted all of the artists that do all these things that help support us as well. And so we really weren't sure what this year was going to be. And I kind of just figured, okay, we'll just, we'll sit back, we'll get through this year, and then we'll refocus and re-aim. But amazingly, this year turned out to be a wonderful year for the foundation. And it's really because of all the amazing people that have helped out. And, I think it's important for people to know that their donations and album purchases and the merchandise that you buy from the foundation, all of that is so instrumental in getting us to the goal of opening Bradley's house. But other ways that you can support the foundation is by supporting the great brands and the people who also support us. And I wanted to thank a couple of them this week. First of all, Uplift Apparel. About 6 months ago, they teamed up with Pittsburgh Pirates pitcher Joe Musgrove, who's just an amazing individual, on this awesome collaboration shirt that has a powerful message inspired by Joe's positive mindset, Let Your Worries Go. And the proceeds from that shirt were donated to Bradley's house. We were so honored by that. It completely took us by surprise. It was just a really special thing. Now, this company, Uplift Apparel, is highly influenced by the reggae music community and the culture, and it was so important to Brad and the Sublime Sound as well. And they refer to their team as the Good Vibes Crew, and they truly have some amazing designs that are so positive, inspiring, and uplift people. I just wanted to make sure that people were aware of them and know about the good things that they're doing, but also I highly encourage that you check out their website, which is shopuplift.com. Check out the amazing merchandise they have, support them, because they've done so much to support the foundation.
Yeah, and that shirt it's really awesome, and they've got so many other cool shirts. They've got them for men and women. Listen, if you're listening to this podcast and enjoying what we're doing and the bands that we talk about, then I know that you're going to want to check out this website. So there's really so many different ways that you guys can support the Nowell Family Foundation, and just like Kellie said, this is one of the ways you can is by helping out the friends of the show and the foundation. And you can literally show off your pride for Bradley's house and the Nowell Family Foundation. You can do it from head to toe. Last week, Kellie, we talked about Kyle's Bradley House hats that he's had throughout the year and how he's always got those on. And I said down to toe, there's even Bradley's house socks that are available.
There are, and that's been an absolute favorite for people. They love these socks. And those socks happen because of an amazing company called Merge 4. They do so many philanthropic things. They give back to the community, and they're involved with art and music and sports and so many different things. And so I actually had the privilege of sitting down with the Merge 4 CEO, Cindy Busenhart. She is just a lovely individual. Every time I see her, she's got this beautiful smile, and she's so warm and so genuine. And what I love about Merge 4 is that they're really doing it right. They're a certified B Corporation, meaning they focus just as much effort and energy into helping people on the planet as they do to their bottom line. That's so unusual from corporations these days. They have socks for everyone in the family, men's, women's, even children's socks. And they're just another one of the amazing companies that have put so much time and energy into helping out the Nowell Family Foundation. So we definitely want to thank them from the bottom of our hearts.
Guys, if you check out merge4.com, I was on their website just a few days ago. Other than having a bunch of really cool designs and, not just, Bradley's house oriented, but there's like Kiss socks and just a bunch of different artists, and they've got a ton of collaborations. They even have a bamboo sock, which is made from like a synthetic bamboo, and it's supposed to replicate cashmere. They use
so soft.
Yeah, they use plant based dyes, and they do so much. So if you're listening to the podcast and you want to support the Nowell Family Foundation, again, check these folks out. These are just two of the many corporations and groups of individuals that we're going to be mentioning that have meant so much to Kellie and the entire foundation, and we thank them for their support. And again, if you guys want to help out. And you know what? Even if you guys don't want to help out, but you just want some really cool socks or some really cool shirts, you should still check these folks out.
Absolutely. And while we're saying our thank yous, I do have one more thing I'd like to bring up. We have been, one of the things that's been so key to us being able to continue throughout this year has been these pin sales. And this was a whole new thing for me this year, learning about these pins. They're collectible and tradable. And there's a huge community of people that get so excited about these pins. And so we were introduced to it by our good friend Steve Jackson, who created the very first Bradley's House pins. And those were amazing. He just took the reins and went ahead and did that for us and got the ball rolling. And then our wonderful supporter, Tony Bailey, who comes up with all of these incredible ideas, just completely ran with it and talked to different artists and started working on getting all these different designs going, and really has done such an amazing job. And everybody's gotten so excited about getting them, collecting them, which has been a great source of revenue for the foundation. And we so appreciate everybody supporting us by buying those pins and getting excited about it. And then a bunch of other people that have either purchased all the pins or helped in producing them or designing them. I'm just going to run through some names really quick, knowing that I'm going to forget some people. But Ryan Bain, Brandon Sweeney, Glenn Hino, Ryan Hall, Brett Wilson, Chris Penchura, Seamus Donahue, Sean Brunson, Justin Wagner. They've all done amazing things, either creating pins or donating proceeds from pins that they've done. Just so many things that's really been overwhelming in this entire niche market that I didn't know anything about before this year. And I'm just so grateful, because that's been a big part of why we've been able to make it through this difficult year as well. So thank you, everybody. Thank you to all those people I mentioned. And of course, also to all the people that are buying those pins and keeping it going. So thank you. It really means a lot. Every single purchase, every single pin, every little thing, it's finding, like we talked about in the episode, finding ways that we can help, things that we can do. It may not be something huge. I know we'd all love to write $1 million check so that we can open a house tomorrow, but along the way, it's all the little things that so many people do that add up. And that's how we're all going to get this house built and really have an impact.
Absolutely. And, the names that you mentioned are all familiar from the groups, all a bunch of incredible guys. Tony Bailey, just an amazing guy. And,
Really?
Steve Jackson, those pins that he does up are amazing. If you're a music fan, he's also got Tona guitars. Check out those handmade guitars.
Beautiful guitars. Yeah.
And again, he's done some work with the foundation with those pins. And then separate from the foundation on his own, he has an Etsy shop where you can purchase extra pins that he has, and a bunch of other stuff. He even does some t-shirts. I don't even know how to explain it, but let's just say they're sublime, and they're really very well done. So you can find him in the Facebook group, Bradley's House, and he's in there posting all the time, and he's you can get a link to his Etsy shop and see all of the cool stuff that he has to offer.
I'm so glad you mentioned Tona guitars that he does. He actually made a guitar and donated it to the foundation. So we will have one of his guitars in Bradley's house when it opens in the music room. I'm really excited about that. It's gorgeous. Just a beautiful guitar.
That's what I hear. And I mean, I've seen pictures. I've never had the pleasure to hold one yet, but, from the reviews and what everyone says and the pictures that I've seen, they just look amazing. So that's Tona, that's Tona. And know that if you're looking for a nice guitar, you can do business with somebody who's a friend of the foundations. And again, that goes a long way, where the community's growing fast. You see how fast the group on Facebook's growing. Every day it seems like there's another 50, 100 people. I think we're close to 3,000 members
amazing.
In that group now.
Just amazing.
And we can all help each other out. So I think it's awesome that you thanked a bunch of those, and anybody that was left out. We got a lot more episodes to go, so we're going to be doing those special shout outs. And we also Now that we're 6 episodes in, we're starting to develop a little bit of a following. Downloads are going well. We're going to start to do some additional sponsorships on the show. So anyone that's listening, if you have a business or an upcoming event that you would like to have featured on Bradley's House podcast, you can go ahead and email the show, Bradley's House podcast at gmail.com, and send over what you've got. And we'd love to figure out a way to get closer to getting Bradley's House built and let all the listeners know about what you have going on.
Absolutely.
Well, Kellie, I had a lot of fun. This was an amazing first recording for 2021. You've lined up an incredible guests for us. We had an amazing conversation. I know the listeners are going to enjoy it as much as I enjoyed getting to sit back and listen to it. So thank you so much for that.
Absolutely. Thank you for making this whole podcast happen, Jarett. And thank you to Anna, our beautiful audio engineer that takes care of everything behind the scenes so that we don't have to.
Yeah, I love her.
I know you do. I should point out to people that she's your fiance, so you're not just being creepy.
That's right. No, not at all.
You're also being creepy, but that's a whole different thing.
If she wasn't, I would still totally be creepy. So yeah, we had a lot of fun, and guys, we thank you so much for joining us. Make sure you share, give us that 5-star review if you think that we earned it. Make sure you're downloading the show. We're available absolutely everywhere. So I don't know where you're hearing us right now, but we're available on YouTube and iTunes and Google and iHeartRadio and Amazon. Make sure you tell a friend, hit that 5-star review so we can continue to make some waves and help people out. We had a wonderful time this week. I'm Jarett Orr. She is Kellie Nowell, and you guys don't have to go home, but it's time to leave Bradley's house. Now, keeping up with tradition like we have here on Bradley's House, here's a clip from The House That Bradley Built Deluxe Edition compilation CD. This is Bad Cop, and All You Need.
Shit together and create a style. We put that shit together and create a style. Passed out on the pavement, I won't feel afraid. There's a little piece of paper saying how we won't get paid.
Hello, my name is Tyson with the Nowell Family Foundation, and I wanted to provide some resources to any men and women that need help and are struggling with drug and alcohol abuse. The first one I want to give is the SAMHSA.gov website, and that is the Substance Abuse and Mental Health Services Administration website. And their 1-800 number is 1-800-662-HELP. That's 1-800-662-4357. And you can always personally reach out to myself. My name is Tyson Sullivan, and you can email me at info@thenowellfamilyfoundation.org. I have a lot of resources throughout the whole country, and I can help you get connected for yourself or a loved one that's struggling.